Hello and welcome to this Friday's episode of Sports Corner. Since I did my NFL preview last week, there's about 2 weeks worth of other sports news to catch up on, so I'll get right to it. Starting with the MLB, some major stories happened over the past week or so. First, on July 25th, Athletics 22-year-old rookie Nick Kurtz had quite possibly the greatest hitting performance in baseball history. In a game against the Houston Astros, Kurtz went 6 for 6 at the plate, hitting 4 home runs, 2 doubles, 8 RBIs, and scored 6 runs. The A's also won that game 15-3. For reference, Kurtz hit more home runs in that one single game than Jazz Chisholm of the Yankees hit in the entire home run derby this year. That was not the only highlight of the past few weeks, though. The Colorado Rockies, who I have brought up a lot this season for being on pace for a historically bad season, had a pretty awesome highlight. Facing the Pirates on August 1st, the Rockies gave up 9 runs in the top of the first inning. It was looking like they were due for another record-breaking loss. However, the Rockies fought and clawed their way back, and the game ended when Brenton Doyle hit a walk-off 2-run home run in a 5-run 9th inning, and the Rockies overcame the first inning deficit to beat the Pirates 17-16. The Rockies are the 6th team in Major League history to win after surrendering 9 first-inning runs, and the first since 2006. Both teams also combined for 40 total hits in that game. Currently, the Milwaukee Brewers are by far the best team in baseball. They've currently won 6 straight games and have won 21 of their last 25 games. On top of that, they're 44-16 in their last 60, which is the best 60-game stretch in team history. They look to continue their winning streak tonight against the New York Mets. Not too far behind the Brewers, though, are the Philadelphia Phillies. They're just a few games back from the top spot in the MLB, and in large part having winning games thanks to Kyle Schwarber. Right now, all signs point to Shohei Ohtani winning back-to-back MVP titles. However, Schwarber is his closest competition. Schwarber leads the NL with 40 home runs and leads the majors with 94 RBIs. This puts him on pace to end up with 57 home runs and 135 RBIs. He's also hitting 12 points above the league batting average. So it'll be a closely contested race for the NL MVP, but there's also a chance of a Dodgers-Phillies playoff series, and I'm pretty equally excited for both. On the opposite trajectory are last year's AL champion New York Yankees. After losing 5 straight games, the Yankees finally got their first win in the month of August on Wednesday. Before that, they went just 12-16 in the month of July. They've fallen to 6.5 games back of the first-place Toronto Blue Jays and are tied with the Seattle Mariners for the second and final AL wildcard spot. There's a ton of baseball left to be played, but the Yankees will need to right the ship soon as they're quickly falling out of playoff contention. Our local teams, for the most part, are looking pretty decent. Like I just mentioned, Shohei Ohtani is most likely winning another MVP, and he's leading the Dodgers to another incredibly successful season. They're the second best team in the NL behind the Brewers, and are the number 3 team in the MLB overall. The San Diego Padres are not too far behind, and are top 5 in the NL and top 10 in the MLB. And lastly, the Angels. The Angels are in a battle for the final wildcard spot, but with each passing day, it looks less and less likely. They currently have just about a 2% shot to make the playoffs, so not great, but not impossible. On baseball's smaller stage, both the Little League World Series and the Little League Softball World Series are currently underway. Currently, the regional tournaments are being played for both, but next week the international games will begin. The championships will be at the end of this month, so I'll update more as the tournament progresses. It's been quite some time since we've had any major NBA stories to discuss, but earlier this month, one of our hometown teams and one of the biggest names in sport made headlines. Just 6 months ago, the Los Angeles Lakers completed arguably the most historic trade of all time when they acquired Luka Doncic. Now, Doncic has agreed to a 3-year extension with the Lakers worth $165 million. Doncic averaged 28.2 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 7.7 assists with the Mavericks and Lakers last season. He led the Lakers in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and three-pointers per game after making his debut with the team on February 10th. Speaking of contracts, yet again, we have another record-breaking contract in the NFL. The Los Angeles Chargers and 2-time Pro Bowl left tackle Rashawn Slater agreed on a 4-year, $114 million contract extension that includes $92 million guaranteed. The contract makes Slater the highest-paid offensive lineman by average annual pay in a contract in NFL history. Dallas Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons could quite possibly set another record when he eventually signs a contract. However, it's looking more and more likely that that contract won't be with the Cowboys. Last week, Parsons shockingly requested a trade from the Cowboys after contract negotiations appeared to fall through. A lot of times, a trade request is used as a bargaining chip or negotiation tactic. However, based on Parsons' social media announcement, it's become hard to imagine he'll remain in Dallas. Part of his statement read, quote, "Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. I had purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done." End quote. Sorry, Cowboys fans, but it's looking pretty bleak in Dallas. I'll be sure to update the situation as more details come out. Parsons is due a large sum of money solely based on the level of play in his career to this point. In just 13 games in 2024, he had 46 pressures, 23 quarterback hits, 12 tackles for loss, and 12 sacks. That made him only the sixth player since 1982, when sacks became an official statistic, to reach 50 sacks in the first 4 seasons played of his NFL career. I mentioned it a few weeks ago, but in a similar boat as Parsons is wide receiver Terry McLaurin. The 30-year-old wideout and the Washington Commanders have yet to agree on a contract. However, the main difference is McLaurin has made it abundantly clear he wants to remain in DC. His biggest bargaining chip will be the lack of depth at the wideout spot for the Commanders. I imagine in the coming weeks, we'll have an announcement on both McLaurin and Parsons, one way or the other. The NFL preseason Week 1 officially began yesterday with games on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays from now until August 23rd. Like I said last week, the season officially begins on September 4th, so we're inching closer to the start of the best time of year in sports. It's been a while since I've given an update on Formula One racing, and there's a reason for it. Similar to years past when Max Verstappen and Red Bull won every single race, there's another team doing that this season, and they're dominating the grid. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and the McLaren team have not finished on the top of the podium just 3 times this season. They also have not lost since early in June. Naturally, both drivers and the team sit atop the drivers' and constructors' standings by a large margin. The next race will be the Dutch Grand Prix on August 31st. With all of that said, enjoy all of the various different sports that this weekend has to offer, and come right back next week for more news, updates, and highlights from all across the sports world. It's going to be a hot summer weekend this week, so if you're inside enjoying the AC, throw on a game or two. As always, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Sports Quarter. I'm Cole Young. See you next time.